Test, test. Ah. Let me see. Are you ready to screen? Oh, it's already switched to my screen. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to see a lot of people here, especially because it's sunny outside, and you probably just came from work or school, and now you're here to hear me yappa yappa about social media and the music industry. So thank you for that. I'm happy to start off the evening with some insights and my POV on social media. This is me. I'm Rinaldi. I'm 31 years old. I am from Congolese descent. I love working out. I love eating, spending time with my friends. And currently, I'm actually between piano lessons and learning some Russian. I know it's a crazy combination, but I have some time left. And in my other free time, I dibble-dabble as a creative consultant in marketing and social media. And I also have a digital agency that I started with my co-founder, Joe, who is arriving at any moment, where we help talents develop from their passion to a real business. And you see how I switched actually the two and talked about my free time where I actually work. It's because I started off as a freelancer this year, and I'm happy and privileged to just be able to decide whatever I claim as free time, because I want to be able to put my family and friends before all my professional accolades. And also, I have an ebook, From Passion to Profession, but self-promotion is cringe, so we're going to skip on that. This is almost 80% of the questions that we ask ourselves when working with organizations or artists. Right before posting, you just have a moment of insecurity that you're like, but they watch my stories, but they don't like my posts. Is my engagement rate okay? Am I oversharing? But all of this can actually be eliminated if you have an actual plan. Yes. So we go into social media thinking it's something that we have to create on the side, that it's not something that we have to take into the process most of the time. We're like, no, I have to finish my project first before I dive into it. But it's important to understand that while you're working in your project, it's important to capture that moment also just for the sake of documentation, because it can be a beautiful process where the magic actually happens. And personally, one of my favorite type of content to watch is behind the scenes. I'm also going to share a little clip of two goats talking about how important realness and authenticity is.
You can look at a person, you can have a conversation with them, and you know if, whether it's the music or who they identify themselves with, if it comes from an organic place, a real place. And we call the consumers, we've been told to call the consumers dumb, but they're not. They know when it's real.
Absolutely.
And they know if they can feel it, and that's something that I always understood, just being a fan myself.
Yes, the era of just believing artists or influencers, as we like to call them, into everything they say is long gone. Even if we're dealing with a lot of disinformation or fake news, I think we have been able to be critical more than we give ourselves credit for. So when you're creating, it's just important to remind yourself, and I know it's a word that has been overhyped, but realness and authenticity is the one that, that stands the test of time. For instance, the story of Ivan Burezi, also known as Yellow Straps, who just started playing around with his guitar on TikTok, trying to explore his music abilities, doing covers. And at some point, one of his covers blew, Girl What's Up. It was a song that he covered from Hamza. And I think in a span of 2-3 weeks, he went from 1,000 views to 1 million views. And the track actually made it to Spotify and all the other DSPs, and I think it's sitting on, I think 15 million streams right now. So it was quite crazy to realize that he was just in the comfort of his living room doing what he loves. And even if, what's also important to know is he doesn't own the rights to the song, but it did bring a lot of visibility to his own music, and I think he's still reaping the benefits of it, of just thinking, you know what, I'm just going to pick up my guitar at my place where I feel the most comfortable. I'm just going to record some covers and see what comes out of it. Do you guys know this one? Yeah. Another example of how just using your voice and just showing people how of a beautiful voice you have on the socials can maybe bring you to places and give you the visibility that you never thought you would have. And it wouldn't even surprise me if at the moment she's probably working on a musical project and this was actually part of the rollout. Another example that actually has not that much to do with music is just a proof for us that being vulnerable or sharing your story can be very relatable and be very powerful. And also, it makes us realize that sometimes we're like, our attention span, this and that, but she has been able to make us watch, or the people who haven't watched or are still watching, over 50 TikTok videos of 10 minutes long on a platform where people are spending maybe 21 to 34 seconds on one video. So that was crazy, and I think she gathered more than 400 million views, which is, once again, like I said, it's an overhyped word, but authenticity is so important, and just being able to share and not even caring about where it ends up, because she owns it till the day of today, and she has been able to get opportunities from it outside of TikTok, like real opportunities in real life. And let me just check my notes. Yeah, we've seen different formats, you know. We've seen dance challenges, we've seen nice lyric videos, visualizers, people trying out different stuff. And I think it led to viral moments where people actually reaped the benefits, but it also led to viral moments where people actually didn't get the opportunity to do something with it. And it's just important to realize that if there was a plan and you got a viral moment, you can actually surf on the viral moment to make your plans come true. But if you don't have a plan, you won't be able to really enjoy the fact that you went viral and nothing happens. I mean, I went viral 2 million times. I went viral with 2 videos, each 1 million, and I'm still standing here and I still have to pay rent, so yeah. Yeah, and I think also it's hard for us to imagine what artists deal with next to social media, like the mental state, dealing with other stuff that is going on in the world is absolutely not like it's crazy. We're living in crazy times, and yeah, it shows like in 2019, which is 5 years ago, but I think it still stands, or even the percentages are higher. A study by the Swedish platform Record Unit highlighted that 73% of independent musicians struggle with mental illnesses, which rises to 80% when considered people between the ages of 18 and 25. I think a lot of people here are in this age bracket. No? Who is between 18 and 25? Okay. Who is younger? Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So, what did you say? Did you say? Okay. And I also think, like I said, it's difficult to imagine the times we live in, but it's also crazy to imagine how it was back in the days when you actually had to take your physical CD and go to the free record shop or go to the Fnac to pitch your CD, or make a super expensive tape that you send to MTV or TMF, and you never hear back from them, and hoping that they will play your video clip on TV. So there are always challenges. Every era has its challenges, but I think that the era that we live in now has made it very easy and almost free for us to use the resources that we have. So we should actually know how to use these resources without becoming the product. And speaking of becoming the product, I think that labels and government can play a huge role in this, because I know that labels lately have been under scrutiny for instance, between brackets, exploiting artists or making them sign contracts that are not fair, so to say. But I think there's so much other things that come into play when it comes to working with labels. And we've also seen, like, when the agreements or the contracts are signed and everybody does their part, that there can also be a lot of success or a lot of greatness come from it as well. Yes. So UMG's attempt, so this is Lucien Grange, the CEO of Universal Music. He has been in the news lately because he tried to protect the artists from getting not paid correctly by TikTok and other platforms, and it resulted to the music being taken off TikTok. But yeah, I don't know if you've been watching the news recently. That's also being sorted out. So that's also important to know. Like, for instance, independent artists, they don't have the support that you can get at a label. Next to maybe the financial support, they can also give you the support to go through contracts or agreements that you didn't know about or you're not knowledgeable in. So that's also important to keep in mind. And when it comes to the government, and I think for now, especially we're dealing with the American government that wants to ban TikTok for their own, I call it capitalists and opportunist reasons, the Western gaze. Next to that, I think it's also important in general that governments try to, I can say maybe gatekeep or help us navigate the consumption of social media and give us the support that is needed to do it safely and efficiently. I'm going to give you 3 freemium tips, things that, like, I've shared with you the findings and the things that I've seen for the past months, but I think it all boils down to these 3 tips. One is think of a plan, but leave a little space for spontaneity. I think once you have a plan, like I said, it's like a roadmap where you know what the goal is, and you will use social media as a means to an end and not like creating content is the goal itself. And yeah, I think that's the main key takeaway of the first point. The second one is make art, not content, and try to record everything in the process. Like I said, don't go into it thinking, I'm going to make content now. This is content. No, sometimes you have to just start recording, and then you will get comfortable with the idea that whatever you're recording is going to be posted. And I think one of the reasons why the millennial pause is so cringe is because you have to get information and think, okay, so now I'm going to post something, and it has to be correct, and it has to be this, and it has to be that. While when we look at the content that is working now, that is actually like increasing on TikTok and other platforms, is a type of content that you have the feeling that you're talking to someone, like the FaceTime content. Like it's more personal. You just feel more involved than trying to create a distance that we know sometimes is just created for the sake of creating a distance, because I mean, we're all human and we all go through different stuff. Like artists also go to the toilets. They also have shitty days. I mean, you know, we're just human, and we should be able to share that human side of us and try to find ways to connect with our audience in that way, rather than showing maybe a lifestyle that they don't live every day. And also, don't force it, but remain free in your thoughts. What do I mean with that? I know that you're not always in the mood to post something, and sometimes you just have the days that you're not feeling it. But it's just important to have the moments where you do feel it and you want to give it 100%, that you try to make as much content as you can, so you have a little bit of backup for the days that you're not feeling it. Then the procrastination might be a bit lower, and you can just, write a quick caption, publish it, and not worry too much about, it has to be like this, it has to be like that, because you already did it, and you already have the content just waiting for you to publish it. And then you can go on in your bed, having another crisis, another existential crisis about your career. And I want to close off this presentation by saying, first of all, or no, lastly, actually, because I'm closing off, it's important to remain thankful for the fact that we even get to pursue an artistic career nowadays, because there are a lot of people who are not as blessed and as privileged as us. They're still fighting for a roof over their heads. They don't even have potable water. They don't even have a place to sleep. So be thankful for the era that we live in, and we get to do this. We get to see each other and talk about silly things. No, I'm kidding. We get to talk about social media. Thank you. If you guys have any questions. Yeah, I forgot. Oh, no, it's already gone. Never mind. If you guys have any questions, we can just start. No one? Okay. That's a great sign. And give it up for the panel.
Hello. Hey. Good evening, everyone. I first want to thank Renaldi for the wonderful presentation. I feel like a lot has been said already, but we have a wonderful panel here tonight to discuss everything. I'm going to start with the introduction, start with myself. I'm Lucas. I work at Vibe, the first contact point for everyone that works in the music industry, artists, but also managers, labels. I give advice to musicians, but also to the music industry. So if you ever need advice or have questions, you can always contact us. But now, the panel, I'm going to follow the line. Luca, can you introduce yourself?
Hi. Hi, I'm Luca. So I'm a PhD student at KU Leuven. And I'm just now finishing my dissertation, which is on mainstream music, adolescence, music listening, meritocracy, mental health. So a lot of the things that we just heard are also sort of part of my own research.
I'm next up, I guess. I'm Max. I work at PR agency 50, which is a PR agency from Brussels. We work with different artists and festivals, including Ancienne, Lucen Yakuza, Assonant Vierge, Oscar the Wolf, upcoming artists like Mavie, Sevens, Renel Bacol, a lot of nice names. We also organize 50 Sessions, which is a monthly showcase festival in Brussels. And we also organize a very cool festival in November, which is also on this stage, which is called 50 Lab. So look it up if you're interested.
Berre?
I'm Berre. I'm an artist, and I started on social media. Started posting 3 years ago, and then 2 years ago got the chance to make my first single. And since then, I've been making singles, more music, concerts, and that's it.
My name is Ines. I'm a freelancer in the music industry. Since a few years now, I've started at Top Notch Belgium, then I went to Fire is Gold Festival, and then Q Downtown, which was a DAB+ hip-hop sender of Q Music. That was all content, marketing, social media related. And now, since a year, I've been promoting music for Sony Music as a promo manager, but it's important to clarify that I do it as a freelancer, and everything I say here is from me, myself, and I'm not speaking in name of Sony Music. Voilà.
All right, thank you very much. I also want to know who's in the audience, who is an artist? Only 1, 2, 3, 4? All right, there's several. Who works in the music business? Okay, and who's here as a support or fan? All right, very good. Okay, let's dive straight in then. I'm gonna start on the artistic point of view. So Bere, I'm gonna start with you, and Maxime later on, because you're also an artist, right? You didn't mention that. Yeah. So Bere, you said it all started on social media. It's quite new for artists that it can start on social media. You used to play in pubs. Jeugdhuizen, youth centers, and to get known, to play a lot, and then maybe find your audience. But you did it the other way around. Can you explain how you did it?
It was quite. I mean, I started out just singing a lot, starting from when I was 12, I think, and then I did try the Voice Kids, and they didn't really like me. And then, really sad.
They're lost.
And then I did post a lot on Instagram on my story and on Snapchat on my story, which I don't know why I did it, but it was fun. So it was mostly for my friends and family, and I didn't really think of doing anything crazy with it or hoping to find a lot of people. But then one of my friends told me that I should start posting on TikTok, and I sort of had like a hate relationship with TikTok, because for me it was just copying dances. So I wasn't really into either watching TikTok or like even downloading it. But then I thought I can just post my stuff on there and maybe it will do something. So when I posted my first TikTok, it was like got 600 views, but it was 600 people that didn't see me before, so that was a cool thing. And then the whole lockdown Corona thing came, so I had a lot of time to post videos. So I started posting daily stuff, and because I posted daily, I got more and more views. And then at some point, one video went viral, and then the next one went viral, and I think that's the moment people started to notice. Not really in Belgium, because there was only 1% of my viewers in Belgium. The rest was outside of it. But I think that's also something that I was sort of the first artist in Belgium that actually did something on TikTok and got views on TikTok and posted about this stuff. So I got lucky a bit that I was the first story in Belgium, and because of that I got some attention from radios and newspapers, and that's when I started talking to Universal and wrote my first song, which was really cool. That's how it started.
That's cool. So you said you started posting daily. Did you feel like that was the game changer, like the consistency?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think about it more nowadays, because you're promoting music of your own and you're not just posting whatever. It's like with a mindset of I want this song to do good, and I put a lot of effort in it, and I want. So when I started posting, it was more I just enjoyed singing random covers, so I wasn't thinking about what kind of cover I should do or what's close to me or I was just doing whatever. So I mean, it was a game changer because I had something to do instead of sitting at home and doing nothing all day. So in that point, but it was also really cool to experience people seeing you and going live on TikTok and getting people to watch you, talk to you, and be happy about you posting was a weird thing for me, definitely. But I mean, it definitely was a game changer. I don't think that I would be making music right now if I didn't post on TikTok that first time and kept posting daily. So,
all right. And then you had a message from Universal, and how did that go? Did they
creepy? No.
Creepy.
I mean, I didn't know anything about the music business. I wasn't thinking about sending stuff to labels. I didn't even know Belgium had a Universal. I think that was like one of the big companies in the US. So it was around the same time I got a message from Sony, but in Germany, and from Universal in Belgium. And then I met with them, and then I came with a friend because not sure if my A&R now, which I love, but I wasn't sure if it was actually with Universal. And my mom was also doubting it. So she was like, take someone with you. And then I went on that first talk, and we mostly talked about music and what I enjoy. And quite quickly I started writing stuff because I was really into listening to songs about my feelings, but it wasn't 100% my story. Like, I had a cool artist, I liked the song, and I made it my story, but it was really cool to be able to write my story in a song. So it went quite quick. I wrote Say My Name. That was my first single. It was the first writing session I ever did, and then we went on for another 3 months writing songs, and then at some point we were like, we should release a single, and then I chose that first writing session to be the first one. I'm really happy I did.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Max, I'm gonna switch to you first on the artistic point of view. How do you see social media, and in what way do you use it to reach your audience?
Maybe I should introduce my project, because Bere went viral. I didn't so far, so a lot of people don't know my music yet. So I'm gonna give you some homework for going home. So I have an artist project called Phantom, Phantom. You don't have any uitvluchten to not look it up after. I started music from the point of view of being like a music fan, and always admiring people on stage and listening to a lot of music. And then all of a sudden, I woke up one morning and I said, I'm gonna make music too. So I did. What I like about music and about connecting it to social media is that you can create your own universe, your own space. I think with the first shoot I did, I immediately wanted to go all out, because I've had all the superstars in mind, like Lady Gaga, Beyonce, etc. So I was like, I'm gonna book a studio, I'm gonna book a photographer who worked with Vogue, and then I wanted to have a stylist. So then we shot in a studio where Ancienne and everybody took their pictures. So I was like feeling like a star. Because I wanted to have great pictures, and then the first songs came out, and then it was very interesting to see how you can develop your artistry and how you can use your social media and to find your own way to communicate with people. I always find it super difficult to only post about music and be like, hey, I got a new song out. By the way, I'm also playing tomorrow, and the day after, I'm doing this. And I sometimes find it difficult as an artist to post a lot about music, because I feel like a lot of people that follow me now are my friends or my family, and they're like, to be honest, we've seen everything now. Aren't you done yet? So yeah, I think that's my relationship with social media so far.
All right, and you also have artists that you work for. How does that work when artists come to you and say like, hey, can you work for me? What basis do you need? Like, can you start from scratch? Do you need them to have a certain following, a mood board, or can you explain how this works?
Yeah, it always depends, because we work with a lot of independent artists. We get a lot of requests in our mail, and we try to give every project a chance, and we listen to everything. And for us, it's very important to understand the storytelling that the artist wants to do, and the story that they want to tell with their music. So we always hope that in their social media already, the storytelling that they want to share with the music is already reflected in their post. It's not always the case, but if we believe in the story and we believe that the artist is doing something special, we always keep up conversations, and we always try to guide them as well with social media. We had some artists that were not like super familiar with posting social media posts and are not like super keen to post stuff. So we try to find a person that helped them with it and find the right people to guide them with that.
We also have people, artists coming over at Vibe for advice, and I find that they often struggle knowing their story. Like, people ask me about my story, but what is my story? I don't know, I just like to play music, I like to play live. Is that my story? Like, how do you find your story?
Yeah, I think if you write a song, you have a story to tell, because in these few words that you put into a song, you have a story that you want to share with the world. So I think that's your story, and that's that should be the starting point, and then if you write a couple of songs, you maybe get some teams. A lot of people write about love, and that's a beautiful story because it could be about falling in love, heartbreak, what else? Breakups. That's it. Yeah, actually, you have like two sides of love songs. But other people try to be very activistic in their songs or try to tackle themes that haven't been tackled before. And I think it's a bit of finding what your project is going to be in these songs and trying to translate that into pictures and posts and TikToks.
All right, thank you. Ines, you also work with artists and often for a record label, for instance, like Sony. What's your daily job for artists? Can you explain?
Yeah, so my daily job currently as a music promoter is to promote music of the artists at Sony Music at the media. So every week there's new music coming out, and it's my job to go to the radio stations to pitch the music, to try and get them in playlists, if not to get feedback. If artists are coming to Belgium, to look for fun promo, fun interviews to do, fun podcasts, content formats where they can come. So yeah, really actively promote artists.
So you don't take over their social media?
No, not at Sony Music, no.
Do you guys have experience with taking over? Because I feel like it's like what some people think, that social media accounts are managed by labels, but is that the case? Do you know examples or?
No, I think it's in my case, and I think it's the same for Ines. Our days already like loaded with a lot of other things, and I think the storytelling and posting is something that artists can do best because we can't express what they think and what they feel. Especially with upcoming artists, I think it's very important that they share how they feel about a song, that they share their story. I think an Adele or any other artist in that league that sells out stadiums doesn't maybe necessarily have to post themselves. But I think if you're like an upcoming artist and you want to share a story, well, do it and put it into words and do it the way you are because it represents you.
Better. So at Universal, you have like all the freedom you want. There's no...
They took it all. No. I mean, my social media is run by myself, and they're definitely helping with my social media. Cause,
in what way?
I mean, I think there's two people of Universal here. Are they here, or did they skip on me?
They're watching the live stream.
I hope they do. No, I have a team that's working on my social media, coming up with ideas or figuring out how to do ideas. I can come with a great idea of telling them like, hey, I want to rent a van and start playing in a van and then eventually do a little tour with a van. And then they're like, okay, how are we going to pay that? I mean, it's like a lot of things that come with it. And when I have free time, I'm writing songs or I'm touring or I'm doing other stuff. So they're helping a lot on that. And then I think that's it. I mean, sometimes if we play a gig, they come along and they make sure they film it. They edit my videos when there's just a little of time and people instantly want to see what you've done that day. So like we had a show in Amsterdam, and then 20 minutes after I played that show, I could post a little recap video, which is really fun for me, but also for the people who were there and the people who weren't there. So they help on that, but it's not like any one of my team is on my social media. So luckily.
Right. So it's a myth that people take over.
I mean, I'm still on a level where I'm a starting up artist. I can imagine that some artists who are touring a whole year or 6 months have some people that, and then I mostly think about pressing the post button and making sure it's posted at that time, because that's also something. I might be doing an interview at the moment. We have to post about a show coming out, so that's something that has happened before, but it's not like someone is writing the text under the post and is making sure to answer comments in my name. That's something I do, but they might be the one actually pressing the post button, so I don't have to do it in a way that if I'm busy,
more
they
practical,
can do it.
More practical stuff.
Yeah. If I'm tired of it, then I'll. No.
All right. All right, Luca, let me skip to you. You've done some research around this field. Do you get like sometimes it feels like a burden for artists? Like I feel at Vibe every talk I have with artists, it's like a burden. I have to post. I don't know what to post. Have you like studied on that stuff or?
Yeah, so I haven't studied myself in specific, but I definitely delved into the literature on this topic. And before there were a reference from a study saying exactly this, the sort of mental health problem that artists face. And there's quite a lot of literature actually coming up on this topic. There is especially someone at University of Sheffield, George Musgrave, and he's doing a lot of research on this. And what he's showing is basically that there is a lot of side tasks that artists have to do that are, as we were saying before, for example, not paid. All this basically you have to become an influencer as well, which includes all kinds of tasks. Also knowing when to post, for example, what to post, edit the videos, and you're not paid for this, or are you? Like maybe that's even a question. And I think a lot of this side tasks creates this new hybrid figures somehow of like an artist who also has to pay part of their artistic attention to something that is not. I mean, partially it is artistic, but partially it's also writing the algorithm or trying to understand how the algorithm works so that you can increase the number of views on your posts or videos. And I wonder, how that actually impacts the creating freedom that artists have, and also more generally just the mental health. You just said that you have to tour, that you have to write songs. Of course, you have to do all these kind of things that are part of being an artist, and on top of that, you also have to do all the other things that didn't used to be part of an artist.
Yeah, do you often feel like it's too much, the social media stuff, and you just don't want to post for weeks or?
Good question. I think I was just tired myself of posting stuff about my own music. And I think I just needed a break for myself, just in general, with releasing music, just to figure out myself as an artist, because by using social media, you also get like tons of influences. You see so many people be successful. It adds some kind of pressure because I make music mostly for myself, but I would enjoy, of course, to do a sportpaleis one day and fly like Camille out of the roof with fireworks, or open the main stage on Pukkelpop like Berre. I think that's like, of course, life goals of artists, for me. But you get like so many kinds of influences, and it adds some kind of pressure that it sometimes is important for my case to like take some steps back and reflect, what do I actually want to do? And what I want to do is write songs and make music that I love. And if like 3 people love it, like now, I'm fine. If 30,000 people love it, I'm fine too. Or even better, because I could pay my rent. But that's another question.
How do you deal with pressure from like social media or creating in general?
I think like right now we just played some shows. There's a lot of content that we can create on those shows, but I guess at some point people will be tired of that one show. So there's definitely some pressure on the days that I'm taking rest or taking some time for my friends, family, myself, where you have to post stuff to stay relevant. And I mean, there's a lot of things on social media that I enjoy. You have this Instagram channel where I love to chat in. There's some fans. You know that I love it. And posting something on my story is really easy. But for some reason, TikTok is still a place where you kind of want to upload things that are higher of quality, have like you're never sure if something will go viral or get views. So I'm trying not to think too much about it, but I'm just not gonna post a random video if I know it's not something for TikTok. Then I rather post it on my story where people are able to view it that already know it, and then I rather spend 2 weeks not posting on TikTok. But that's an issue with TikTok as well. I posted daily and then I stopped posting daily for 3 days. Then I posted again and my views went down with like 75%. So they kind of punish you if you don't keep on posting. But I found a good middle way in it. I think I have an amazing team who helps out with that stuff. And then because we've been working together for 3 years now, they know what kind of stuff is actually connected to me, because it doesn't make sense to just post things that go viral or just post things that you think went good with other artists. So you just post stuff that tells something about you. And once you create a team that knows who you are and knows how to... ben aan het nadenken wat ik zeg.
No worries, no worries.
But I mean, I don't feel super obligated. I think I rather post 2 videos a month that I'm standing behind and know that it's me, than post 20 per month and it's just content that has to be out there because I have to keep posting every day.
Doesn't it also give you headspace, like was in the early presentation, to have a plan, like to fall back on?
Yeah.
That there's certain days that there will be a video. Doesn't that give you, like, you're chill about it then?
Yeah. I mean, especially once you start promoting a song, like you have this whole space between a song that's just got released and then you can post a few weeks about it, and you have artists who post for months about it, but I'm just not trying to push it too much into people like, listen this song right now. Then I rather post about fun stuff going on. And once you start going up to that release, like you have a release planned in 2 months, you know, I have a lot of stuff to post for 2 months. It's that time in between that's a bit hard. But I mean, I feel like I gave myself enough headspace where I don't constantly feel pushed into having something to go viral. Maybe it's even when you start promoting a song, you really want it to go good because you worked either months or even a year or just a long time on it, so you hope it does well. So maybe at those points I'm a bit more stressed about videos, but I feel like after doing this for 2 years, which is not long at all, but it's a great amount on social media, I feel like I've found peace with having 200 views, 2,000 views, or 200,000 views. It's just,
right.
As long as I enjoy the video myself, I'm happy.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Ines, do you often work with artists that don't want to bother at all with social media? Can it still be done without?
I didn't met an artist that didn't want to do social media yet. That's a very difficult question because
So sorry.
yeah, I don't talk much, and when I talk, you give me the difficult question. No.
So the answer is no. You need to be on social media.
No, because there are artists that can do it without, but in my opinion, it's at another stage. If you look at artists like Damso or Josman, they have 0 posts and they absolutely don't need social media. But you have to be at a certain level already if you want to start out. If you're starting out, I really think social media is a way to go to not only grow your audience, but also grow the bond with you and your audience. And it's a cheap way to promote your music and to go viral. So I think it's very difficult to do without, in my opinion.
You mentioned something interesting, like strengthening the bond. How? I mean, how do you do that? Are there some strategies to create that bond on social media, or is it just being yourself?
Yeah, being yourself is very important because if I think of social media, not only for artists in the music, but also for brands and company, the 80-20 rule is very important. So 20% of your content should be promoting your stuff and 80% should be your personality. Because fans who follow you, they follow you because they want to see you. They want to see you in action. They want it. So you have to post yourself in action too. So a way to do that is to post behind-the-scenes videos, post random funny videos during the day, post a lot of stories, but a lot of authentic content is important, to strengthen that bond.
it always has to be authentic, personal, but isn't that also a bit of a pitfall? Like, can you? It was also in questions before. Can't you then overshare or then be enthusiastic and like, okay, I'm super confident, and then say something stupid or something? How can you prevent from going too personal? Or what? Have you guys any experience with that, like oversharing, or what's the limit of like sharing? How far can you go?
Well, I mean, I think we should also consider that social media, like Instagram, for example, are platforms of self-presentation, right? And as you were saying, there is also a pressure of comparing yourself to other artists. So what does it mean to, I'm also questioning what does it mean to be authentic on these platforms. There are some models that we see, and they're represented as ideals, or like, what does it mean to have a specific body image, body shape, a specific success also even in a career. And then what if your authentic self is cringe? What if you get 5 views on a post? You're not going to post that. So, I mean, I think I think there is a sort of a contradiction here between what we see as authentic and what is ideally represented as authentic. And I think these platforms really play on this type of contradiction.
Yes, like it's all very the same in the end. I feel on Instagram for sure, maybe on TikTok not. I don't use TikTok that much. It's a bit too much for me. But yeah, I totally agree. Like authenticity, it's a hoax or something. Yeah. You don't agree?
I think it depends on person to person. Also with the oversharing and stuff, maybe, I mean, there's a lot of artists I watch on TikTok myself, and maybe some stuff that they do I find super cringe, and I would never do myself, but it's who they are. And like, it's just a way of presenting yourself. And if you're a person who loves posting 20 stories talking about how you wanted to order a Big Mac, but actually ordered another burger. I mean, that's you, you know, and then you can say, oh, that's oversharing. You just posted 20 stories about ordering something. But for some fans, it's amazing to hear this person talk 20 minutes about that kind of stuff. So it depends on person to person, and some things will be really cringy for someone like me, and someone else will think what I'm posting is super cringe. So it's a difficult one, but I mean, as long as you stay close to who you are, it's at some point gonna work out or not. It might also just not happen, and that's reality. Just like you can go on The Voice Kids and not get selected, but that doesn't mean it's the end. So I think as long as you stay yourself, because you can be super cringe and have 5 views for 10 months, but if that one person finds you that actually loves what you're posting, and they share it with friends, and they start sharing it, and suddenly you can blow up, and you remain yourself, and you can start looking up things that you should do on TikTok. But if that's not who you are, it's never going to work. Then people might enjoy it for a month and then notice that's not who you are actually. So it's a bit double.
All right. Anyone want to add on that? No?
Who's going to try me? I'm joking.
I'm agreeing. I just want to say there's an audience for everyone. Even if you're cringe. I mean, there are people cutting their toenails on TikTok and they have 3 million views.
Love
I'm like,
it.
whoa. Yeah, you see? He loves it. So, yeah, there's an audience for everyone. That's what I wanted to add.
And I think the nice thing about social media is also that with the content that you create an echo chamber, which means that you will be surrounded by people that are interested in what you do. So once you are in your echo chamber, so it takes once you start using TikTok, I know some people that said, I downloaded TikTok, it was so boring. Yes, you have to scroll a bit and then it gets fun. So you will find your echo chamber where you see the content that you like, and where you maybe post a content that is like close to what you see on your For You page. So I think you can't be cringe in your own echo chamber.
All right. Well said. Sure.
I just want to say that, I mean, I think that's also the power of social media, as you were saying, that there are like multiple communities. But I wonder how much that plays out in the long term. Also in terms of like, what is your goal as an artist? How can you make a living out of being an artist? And I think maybe, you know, sure, you can have a community of 5 people, even 10,000, I don't know, like you can have your own small echo chamber of people. But what are the pressures, and these are really questions, I don't know, what are the pressures, institutional as in also being part of that platform that you have to go through and that you have to succumb to in a way in order to make it as an artist? Can you continuously be cringe and have your like 10 followers and then become like Beyonce or something?
That's a very good question. What I think is very important is your social media is like your visitekaartje. I'm using like these fun Dutch words in between. I'm so sorry. It's your
business card.
It's your visit card. Wow, that was a hard translation to the world. But at the end of the day, I'm coming back with the storytelling. I think it's very important to have something else going on besides your music. That you surround yourself with people that believe in you. Is it on the promo side like I do, and I work with artists, and it's my job to understand their storytelling and go to media platforms and try to find the right angles to put them out there? Or is it finding a good booker or a good band that are like motivated to play a lot of shows with you and like get paid with 3 drinking coins and a dressing room which was just a little door with nothing inside? It's like you need people that believe in you, and you need people that understands your story and want to help you translate it into the real world. And I think if you work out both sides quite well, so the online and digital world and the real world, that you have a golden recipe to make some waves. Not guaranteed.
So both worlds strengthen each other, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think if your strong storytelling on Instagram works well, we, for example, work now with a new German duo called Zimmer 90. I'm German, so I can pronounce it well. Zimmer 90. They are blowing up on Instagram Reels. They have 20 million views on videos, have over 1 million creations on their sound, which is an amazing accomplishment. But then you start to have the idea of, okay, what's the story, and how can we translate it into people buying tickets to a show? How can we translate it into the song being played on the radio? And that's where I come in with my job. And that's where I need to convince people these people are also more than just an Instagram hype. These are like talented musicians with a fun story to be told. By the way, they're playing next week, Tuesday, on Botanique. See, I'm a good PR agent.
Self-promotion is cringe.
You can always go and see them. There's some few tickets left.
All right. Everyone has an audience. How well do you guys know your audience? Berre, do you look at the numbers, like the countries your fans are in? Do you know how old they are? No?
No. I mean, of course, there's a lot of views of people I don't really know or interact with. I have a really strong, close fan base. They're even here listening to me talk instead of sing. So thank you guys for coming out. And of course, there's a whole, especially in the beginning, there was like, I had one video with 9 million views, I think, which is a lot. 1% out of, are you a fan or are you a fan? Huh? No, and there's only 1% out of Belgium, so the other people I don't know at all. And but it definitely, like, social media makes it so easy to get them close to you, like even going live. Everyone can send you a message. It's not like before social media where they had to send a letter to wherever or send an email to wherever and hoping someone will read it. It's super direct, which I love as well, because it can just build a connection with the people that follow you and the people that like your music. And most of the time they also have an amazing story to tell. So it's
So you chat with fans directly on social media platforms. You take time for that.
in a good way, not in a, not in a weird way.
No, of course not,
of course it happens, and it's not like I'm responding to every request I get, but I think there's if the moment is there and if they send me something that's really personal or something that touches me, and some of the times I don't see it at all. Like I have a lot of friends coming to me that I should respond to their message from 3 weeks ago, so it happens that I don't see it at all. But if I do it, most of the times it's something touching. Even them saying that they like my music is it's just amazing to read, and then I do respond to it. Right. Not always. Right. I won't lie.
Yes.
But I try to.
All right. Ines, do you look at the numbers for your job? The statistics? Or not so much?
Yeah, I do. I use a lot of numbers and statistics to... Oh, that was a difficult word. To promote music. I look at charts, Spotify charts, Ultra Top charts, Shazam charts, TikTok charts. I look at Instagram. Everything I can find and can use, I put them in my pitch. But I have to say that so I mostly pitch in Wallonia, the radio in Wallonia, and then there it's a bit more difficult to take social media numbers in my pitches. Like, as long as it's not in the ultra top charts, they don't really consider it directly as a priority. That's what I see when I work. Yeah. But yeah, I always use it in my pitches. If it's a new artist, a developing artist, it's always great to include as much as I can. Yeah.
All right. Is there a difference, like, because the algorithm, I think, if I understood it correctly, that it rewards interaction, engagement. Is there a difference between interaction and engagement? What's the difference? Can anyone explain? Because it's two words, but is it...
Interaction and engagement. No, is it a different word?
Just it's a question.
No.
It's two words that come in mind when I think about the algorithm. People interact like by commenting.
You get engagement by people who interact.
Exactly.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
Exactly.
we're
That's the
getting
right
there.
order.
We're getting there.
Or maybe it's like difference between liking and sharing or commenting.
Yeah, like
Like engaging as like more active, while interacting it's like also active, but like you put a like or you repost the post, while engaging is maybe more about commenting.
All right. And do you guys look at the comments or?
Yeah, TikTok comments are. I'm on TikTok for the comments, not for the video. It's so funny. It's so funny.
And doesn't it sometimes get bad also? I don't want to go on a negative side, but like, don't you get hurt sometimes if you read some comments?
Yeah, of course. There are people that are mean on TikTok and that can put shitty comments. But it's important to know the difference between how do you say it? Constructive comment? Like
constructive.
Thank you. A constructive comment that is just badly, that he just used bad words, and a comment that's really on hate, because the first one, you can always interact with it. You can comment on it. You can comment on it with a video. You don't necessarily need to delete it directly, because comments are important for your engagement on TikTok. You can do a lot of things with it. You can react on it with a video. You have companies that are so good at it, like bol.com and Duolingo. They're so funny. They respond in a more sarcastic way on hate comments. So I think that's the best way to do it. Respond with fun. Yeah.
Important life hack also, if you see negative comments by accounts like Babsi eet graag frieten 123 and other anonymous accounts, don't take it too personal, because these are just trolls.
All right.
And they're good for engagement.
Do you feel like a label also sometimes goes through the comments and like helps you deal with them, or more in general, does your label support you on the mental health side as well when it comes to pressure or social media?
So, I mean, there's definitely space for it, and I became really close with my team, like label-wise, booking-wise, life-wise. I mean, they come to my birthday parties. We spend vacations together when I go riding. So I'm super close with my team. So there's definitely moments to talk. And I can also just send in a chat like, hey guys, I really don't feel like posting this week because I'm dealing with some different stuff, and they will always respect it and find ways to either just not post or find a way that they can take over in some posts. And so there's definitely space for that. But I don't feel, and I think that's a cool thing with TikTok as well. It's at some point it's quite hard. Of course, you have the trolls who are like looking for videos that they can hate on, but because the TikTok algorithm is so set to what you like, there's a really little amount that will go to or even find my videos, and they don't enjoy music I make, and that's a super cool thing. What I've noticed is sometimes it happens that your label decides that let's post a video and put some money behind it so other regions can see it. And I mean, it's a great thing that it's just like commercials on TV. It's nothing to be like shitty about. But then TikTok doesn't really, I mean, they now have some new things, but at some point it was just you pay for it, people see it. Doesn't matter if they like gaming, football, or singing, they will see it. So there's a lot of people, of course, that love maybe heavy metal and suddenly see this guy writing sad songs, super slow with a piano. And so on those kind of videos, I've noticed that there's a lot more hate. So we made the decision to stop like promoting videos with money behind it, because it gets more reach, but it's not the right reach. So I'd rather have a video with 10,000 views and 10,000 people who actually enjoy my music than have one with 100,000 views and have 90,000 people who are like, who's this guy? Get him out of my For You page. So that's a good. There's also not a dislike button on TikTok, and you can select that you don't like any kind of video, which is cool, but it's not like you're gonna have the most disliked video like on YouTube. So that's I don't really struggle with hate comments, to be honest.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, like sometimes you do promote posts. When do you or don't you put money in social media, like to promote the posts? Do or don't?
I think what I figured out is I try to put as less money as possible in promotion, because what I've seen as well is once you start promote stuff on your socials, Instagram and TikTok are gonna boycott your algorithm a little bit the next time when you post the next time, just for you to buy engagement again. So I think with TikTok, what is nice about TikTok is you can make a silly video in your bedroom and you can reach the whole world. I think that's what Instagram is trying to do now as well, with showing posts of people I've never seen before, between my friends and people I want to see. But I would always suggest to not buy too much engagement and like views on social media, because otherwise you're going to be boycotted for the next posts and you're going to be sad because your post has 20 likes instead of 200 before. You're going to buy it again.
All right. Cool. I want to skip to a different topic, like the influence of social media on music creation. Do you have a feeling that music's changed since, or the music we hear? I feel like it's like the stuff we hear on the radio, the stuff I see in the media, it's all become a little more alike or something. Do you agree? Or
I think it just depends on the music genre, because pop music means popular music, and it's music you're gonna hear on the radio, and everybody wants to be that makes pop music somehow wants to be on the radio, and will try to find ways to make songs that are close to things that are already being played. So of course, pop music is very impacted by trends. I think what we've seen also is that artists use a lot of nostalgia sounds and sample stuff, because it tingles a nostalgia thing in the back of your brain and makes you like the song quicker than before. But I think if you look at rock music or punk or I think hip hop maybe less, but you have like a lot of genres that are always trying to reinvent themselves, just like pop music too. There's always like some leaders and people that are gonna follow. But maybe let's ask
I'm
a good
very
pop
curious.
artist. How are you writing pop songs?
Do you have social media in mind while writing songs, or?
I don't really. I've never went into a writing session and said or thought about let's write something that works on TikTok, or let's write something that people can dance to. I mean, there's definitely after the song has been created things to make a sped up version, slowed down reverb version, and that's something that changes. And you also see in a lot of popular songs they released the song plus 5 versions that did well on TikTok. So I think that definitely changed, and I'm sure there's some artists who are more likely going to that one chorus that works really well on TikTok. But what you've noticed, or I've noticed on TikTok, is that most of the times the songs that go viral are not meant to be or written to be like viral on TikTok. It's just a feeling that people get, and it's that first 5 seconds or even that first 1 second that. Because I mean, if I'm scrolling on TikTok, I'm scrolling like this. I'm not like, okay, let's watch the first 30 seconds and see if it's cool. It takes a second for everyone to see if it's cool or not. So it's
That's
really hard to write
much.
something
1
that
second is nothing.
I mean, I think the average swipe time is like 1 second, 2 seconds to go to the next one. So you have to, and it's just impossible to be in a writing session where you make a song of 3 minutes 30 or shorter. I think it became a bit shorter now because of this whole TikTok and stuff. But it's really hard to say let's write something that works on TikTok, because nobody knows what works on TikTok, and it can be the most fake thing that suddenly pops out for everyone.
Has there been research around this topic? Like, did lyrics change? Did song length change BPM? Are there studies?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So what I've seen is research showing that, as you were saying, music has become shorter, less complex in terms of instruments, harmonics, melodics. The hooks have started to sort of becoming earlier because they have to actually hook, right, in the videos, in the scrolling of the videos. And also another interesting thing that I saw is the IFPI, which is the International Federation for the Phonological Industry. In the last report on the sort of global markets, showed that the 2 markets that globally increase the most are Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa. And most of the music that you also see on TikTok, it's this type of music as well. So I think it impacts in terms of, I mean, I don't know if I should say negatively, but what I was saying at the beginning would say more towards this negatively simplifying, or like platform-specific interests come first and before, which is different than what you're saying. But I'm talking also in terms of like generally what's happening in that sense, but also maybe positively in terms of influences from different types of music genres. And parts of the world as well.
Cool. All right, and Ines, I have a question for you. Do you feel like labels sign different types of artists and like with different genres more than they used to, or the artists you work with at Sony, for instance, is it more like they make pop music or hip hop, or do you see trends there or not so much?
That's again a difficult question. I don't think you like me. Yes.
I do.
No. But I have to think about it. I know that a label can sign an artist because the artist is already active on social media. For example, Sony Music has a digital project. Like, it's an artist, Anlin, and she's a fully digital project. So she's already very active on making content online. She has a big community online. The promotion is also being very ondersteund online. Supported online. So I definitely feel that there's a different way of signing artists and working with artists. and that it doesn't always have to be the traditional way. Yeah, and I'm very happy about that.
All right, cool. So the time is almost up. So I want to ask each of you one last question. And that's to give one type of advice to emerging artists that are looking to start off their career and are struggling with social media. How would you advise them with keeping in mind to keep it fun and healthy? Like, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, of course, you have to stay yourself and do whatever you like. Don't be afraid if it doesn't happen now. It's not because TikTok is not your thing. I mean, the next platform is soon to become. That's going to pop off. So if you like making music, keep making music. Don't be too stressed about if people like it or not. If you love it, some people will at some point. So keep going, I would say. It's really hard to give advice because it's so different for everyone. What worked for me might not work for someone else, and what I like to do might not be something fun for someone else.
But it's totally okay if it just works for you. Then
be you.
It's an advice for someone out there. So yeah, thank you, Max. Do you have some last piece of advice?
Yeah, indeed. I think Bear has a good point, but what I would add to is that you need to find people and surround yourself with people that believe even more in you than you do in yourself. I think it's very important to have like people that drive you and push you in some kind of situations, or guide you through situations when you're lost, or that will be on the front row of every show, or will be the first one to listen to your song when it comes out at midnight, or what else of nice support things can you do? Buy flowers. I've never gotten flowers.
All right, get it.
Just taking notes, guys. I'm giving tips for anybody. But I think it's very important to find people that are there for you, that believe in your story, that can maybe identify with your story. I think these are like very important points to keep in mind. And you will always find that one person that will go the extra mile for you. Period.
Thank you. Luca, some last piece of advice?
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to give advice on this, but what I feel in relation to what we have been talking about now is that a lot of what's happening on social media platforms, it's social comparison. And I think we are always more, we're always less, we're always different. And I think as long as we are able to understand who we are and find our communities, that's also what music is about in the end, right? Like connecting to people and connecting to communities. So I think it's important to realize how just these platforms work and just be grounded in yourself in that sense and in your communities.
Thank you. Ines, you can end off.
My advice would be, if you think of social media platforms, just think of it as a blank platform and just create. Put your stuff out there, create, and what you're creating will eventually come back to you. If you're creating good stuff will come back to you. If you're creating bad stuff will come back to you.
No pressure.
No pressure. But also, in the beginning, I would focus on quantity over quality, because you still need to feel like, who is your audience? What do they like? What kind of content do they want? What works? What doesn't work? So focus on quantity over quality. And if you found the content that works for your audience, then you can switch over to quality and fully go for it. And go viral.
All right, thank you so much. We still have some time left for questions from the audience. There's a lot. Okay, who will go?
So I have two questions. I don't know if that's okay. My first question is, do you believe that social media either increases or decreases the durability of careers in music today? Because I think I read somewhere that back in the day they said a career span was 5 years of an artist. I think nowadays with TikTok you can go viral for 2 weeks and then everybody forgets about you. So that's my first question. What do you believe?
I will be brave. That's a very good question. I think I'm going to go back to the point that I had earlier and say that social media is not everything as an artist, and that you need to find the right storytelling and find the right people to go to the right places. I think once you have a viral video, it's always a nice point for people that you work with to work further on it. But I think you need people that represent yourself, or that represent you in the press, go to radio stations and present you, talk to the right people, or book you for the right shows. I think that's the most important thing to have a sustainable career. Yeah.
Okay, yes, this is a question for Ines. As someone who works for a music label, how important is social media in the initial stages of a signing? Does an artist nowadays have to already have a certain following on social media, or do music labels still sign artists who are not popular on social media?
That's a good question. I don't sign artists, but what I've seen in the past and from my experiences is that also artists with a small following, with a small following, we're not going to Hayak and zero following, with a small following can be signed too if there is creativity, if they have a vision, if they are driven.
Motivated.
And if they are driven and they have a vision, it's definitely possible. Yeah, of course, if you already have a following online, you already have a community, you already have a story to tell and to back yourself up. So it's always easier. But you can definitely do it with a small following, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, thanks a lot for coming and talking to us about it. I have a question to all the four of you. It concerns everything you said at some point, but I want to go back to the authenticity thing because that's sort of where I kind of stopped listening, I guess. I used to work for I apologize, but I used to work for Rolling Stone in India when I was an undergrad. And this topic of authenticity came up quite a bit because it was artists who wanted to be authentic. And I think this is a problem that supersedes art. Like in politics as well, if you're authentic, there's chances that you will reap benefits to being authentic, right? Or at least portraying yourself as authentic. But I wanted to ask the four of you if there is a right way to be authentic and a cringe or a wrong way to be authentic, and if you find that the ways you can be authentic are kind of upheld by those who are in certain positions of power. So it's very fine, for instance, to be honest and authentic and write a nice acoustic guitar song in your living room, but only if your living room looks a certain Western way. So if there's a monstera plant on your left side and a ukulele hanging from the wall on the other side. But if your living room looks a bit worn down, looks a bit working class, then it's automatically not authentic. It's someone who's trying to be something else, who's trying to reach for a certain kind of aesthetic. So I was wondering if that aesthetic, I don't know what the exact word is, vibe, I guess, plays into the part of authentic, and if authenticity really is what we think of it to be, and more of a thing that we want to be authentic to reach some kind of class-related thing. So, yeah.
There's definitely some things going more viral because the room also looks good and the person looks good. But I think it's when I started posting TikToks, I spent months in my garage with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling, so I don't think people really liked the way it looked. I also had the issue that I make a lot of, and I practiced on it, a lot of silly faces when I sing, and it doesn't look good at all, so I got maybe lucky, but I feel like because of this social media and everyone being so honest about who they are, and there's definitely artists, there's a lot of them in, for example, the US, where you just see that there's a team behind it, that everything is thought about, and their hair is always laying perfect, and the clothes they wear is thought about. So I feel like there's definitely some moments where you have to be authentic, but also think about a lot of things. But then at the same time, I think it's just everything coming together. If you're not looking amazing and the place you live in is not looking amazing, but you have an amazing voice, I'm sure there's a way, and it doesn't have to be with TikTok, it doesn't have to be with social media, but there's a way to make it. And even on social media, I think there's such a reach for people who also feel like the way they look, the way they live might not be enough, and maybe that's a point where they connect 10 times more with someone that's living in the same situation than someone that's living the perfect life in LA and has a great view behind them. So it's once again, it's someone authentic for me might not be someone authentic for you, and it's going to be different with every person. And someone, like I said, that's cringe for me, it's not going to be cringe for you. So it's a bit hard, but I mean, we all notice that some really good-looking artists might go more viral because there's also a few thousand comments about how handsome or how pretty someone looks. So there might be a degree, but then at the same point, there's a lot of respect for everyone, especially on TikTok, I feel like. So I think it matters until a certain point, but I think you can make it without having to think about all those things as well. Yeah.
Are you an academic? So the way in which I think about this is that a lot of the content. So again, the IFP report that I mentioned before, International Meteorological blah blah. What shows is that around 63% of the content that we select on these platforms, it's actively chosen, which means that 34, it's not actively chosen, which means that it's given by algorithms or curated playlists. And what you see around in the literature on algorithms is that, especially on music streaming platforms, they tend to recommend more male, international, already established artists. So this creates a background, a context in which we have certain images, as I was saying before, of what success looks like. And as you were saying, these images are not only in terms of content, that, like lyrical content that is produced, but if you look at social media in that sense, it's also visual content. So as I also mentioned before, body shape, for example, or as you were saying, class-related, exactly. Which then, to me, the idea is that we have an on these platforms, we have an idealized view of what success is, that it's also pushed by these algorithms, which are, again, created. These algorithms are not given us by gods. They are created by humans, and specific humans, and we know who these specific humans are. If you don't know, they're mostly white men. And which then creates a specific type of idea, again, of what success is. So I don't know, in that sense, of research in specific that tries to disentangle, because it's also difficult. Also, we don't know how these algorithms works. The relationship between what is authentic and what is like authentically represented as, or like ideally represented as authentic. But my guess is that there is an ideal of authenticity that we try to sort of accommodate, and there is a bit of a conflict with what people perceive as authentic. Might perceive as.
Thanks.
Hello. I work in the music video industry, and I was wondering about something. There is a lot of ways to make music now, and so there is a lot of people making music now. And in a way, people have to be unique and create personas to be different from the others. And so how can you be different and create a persona in an art direction for an album or something and stay true to yourself, and how does it contradict itself?
I think it's very difficult to be, even though we say everybody's unique, I think when it comes to creativity, and everybody always tells you there's a limit to creativity, I think people will always see references in what you make, always. Like references that you don't even know or you haven't seen before. So I think the most important thing is that you create something that you want to make. I think it's important to. A lot of people use Pinterest to make mood boards, etc., and get inspired, which is very fun. But make it your own and try to find a way to adapt it to what you want to make. Even though you like a specific kind of style, you don't have to copy it for 100% and like change details. I think that's an important note. And like we say in Dutch, je gaat nooit het water uitvinden is a very important one. You will never find something that has never been done before, especially in pop music. I think it would be an illusion. But create something that you're proud of and that is like representing you, and you will be fine.
I also think the staying true to yourself part. I mean, of course, it depends on artist and artist. I tend to be really hands-on. Like, there will never be any show that gets announced without going by me. There will not be any picture announced or any picture used without going by me. There won't be any word or second of a song going through to a record without me checking every second of it. We played a show 2 weeks ago in the main room of the AB, which was really cool. And every little detail that happened on that show, I checked it and I confirmed it if I liked it or not, and if it was me or not. So I think it's something that you have to stay true to yourself. It's about finding an amazing team and meeting a lot of people and finding those people who support you, know what you want to do, but also can give all the control to you and just help out with those bits. And I think in a couple of years, when I have a manager that's worked for me for years and a social team that has been working with me for years, they will know what I like and what I don't, which is already like starting more and more to come. And at some point you might be able to let go. But I think as an artist, it's super important, even though you have 20 people working for you, that you know exactly what all those 20 people are doing and that it goes by you first. So there's not a social media post coming out that's not you. And I think that's the most important, and don't be pushed by numbers. It's not because a video of a song went viral that you should create that sort of video. It's just about, try to stay hands-on even though there's 20, 100 or 1,000 people working for you or watching you. I think that's super important as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. So I am a software engineer, so our brains work a bit differently. And the question I wanted to ask is about, so if I take history, for example, when Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook, his idea was to connect people, and then the creator made Facebook. So how did they make Facebook? You realize that it was engagement that became the driver of how Facebook worked, and you see how Meta changed with Instagram, because the investors wanted people to be on the social media. So my question is, how would you, as a promoter or as an artist or as a label or as an academic, design a social media? Like, how would you create one if we went, instead of going from the software engineer to the content creator, how would the content creator go about it? Just by one word or one idea.
What would your ideal social media platform look like?
I think the interaction thing is very important, so that's something I would definitely take in mind. So giving people the opportunity to directly react, to communicate with each other, to share some things, or to share quick, easy snapshots like Snapchat stories, like Instagram stories, because those things, we didn't have them in the beginning years of Instagram and TikTok, and now I can't imagine living without my Instagram stories. So I think interaction is something very important that I would take with me in a social media platform. Yeah.
I think I would create a social media platform, a platform that everybody can make their own. You have a lot of active users on Instagram that post stories every day. You have a lot of passive users that only watch stories, never like anything, but are just like curious and nosy. So I think I would create a platform that is like made for every kind of user. If you're like a content creator, but also just a very passive couch potato scrolling through your social media platform.
I think we already have some cool platforms like Mastodon, for example, or like platforms where the people making the decisions are not just making billions of dollars out of what they're making. So I think really the whole problem, what we're talking about in here, is that there is a very small group of people making just a lot of money, and this drives all of this. And I mean, I'm definitely not saying that making money is bad in itself. It's making a lot of money out of people's weaknesses that it's bad. So yeah, that's something that I would change.
I think what I liked the most on TikTok is it gave a chance to everyone at some point. And on YouTube, you have the pioneers, and it's really hard to still become someone on YouTube. So it's great that suddenly a platform like TikTok existed. But now, after a few years of TikToks, you once again have those pioneers which have a lot of following. Maybe it would be something cool if something like following doesn't exist on an app, and it's just every day, every minute, giving a new chance to anyone without having those pioneers like popping up or becoming something big and owning. I mean, TikTok is quite like that, but even in your For You page, you will always see people that come back and already posted for years and now suddenly got to that algorithm where whatever they post is chill. So maybe that's something that could be cool in an app, but I mean, maybe it's already out there and I just don't know it.
Yeah. Can I add? I would like to see platforms like, for instance, also Spotify, which is a streaming platform, where people can pay more to get more. Like, that's something I'm missing right now. Like, I would pay 20 euros a month to have more music from the same artist. So, yeah.
So helping the artist by crowdfunding the artist that you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm joining.
Vault is super expensive. Vault is too expensive. It's $5. For the people that don't know Vault, it's an experiment that James Blake, kickstarted, where you have to pay $5 a month to get unreleased songs, but it's for one artist every month. So if you pay already 10 euros on Spotify and 5 euros for one artist, 5 songs, I think it's not really balanced. But it's a good example of what can be done. So if I would pay 10 euros to maybe select 20 artists that I really like and get more music for them, that would be more fair, I guess.
We have time for 2 questions, so I see more fingers. So Lucas, up to you.
Yeah.
To add on to what Lucas was saying, I think we're just in an industry where we got spoiled with Spotify, especially because when we realized that the artists don't get paid that much from the streams, and we get to enjoy all types of music for just 10 euros, whereas when we had the free record shop, you would go and pay 20 euros for one artist as well. So, and I'm also I am a huge fan of a podcast, the Joe Budden podcast, and I pay like 10 euros a month now to listen to him yappa yappa for 4 hours a week. And I really enjoy it, and yeah, it's just another way of giving back, and it's through Patreon. I don't know if you guys know Patreon. That's also a platform where it's like more decentralized and less focused on quantity and getting paid less, so...
Last question.
I want to add something real quick. I think it's what I like about streaming platforms is that it made music accessible to a lot of people. I think that's the strength of DSPs, but it's conflicting with the way they pay. So I think there's an unbalance. On one hand, you can make music accessible for 10 euros a month. I mean, you pay even more by taking the train if you're 26 plus. From here to Antwerp and for hearing music whole month. So that's quite a privilege. But on the other hand, of course, you have artists that are paid less. So I think that's a very interesting reflection to make. And I think that's why they struggle to raise prices, because they need new customers to be able to invest. customers is such a weird word. Subscribers is better. They need new subscribers every month to like grow as a platform, and I think they're also like seeing if they raise the price with even like €1 a month, what are people gonna do? It's a competition. So it's gotta be exciting to see how it develops. Let's not make it free. That's the only thing I would do.
Right, so one last question. Mark, you... Okay. Not Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, but Rinaldi, you didn't really ask a question, so maybe we have time for two. No, it's okay. It wasn't... You add something. It was not really a question, so we have time for 2 questions.
So I've only heard you talking about like 2 platforms, TikTok and Instagram. But we work at a venue, so Facebook and Facebook events are still important for us. But in your opinion, do we need to forget about Facebook and do more on Instagram and TikTok and forget about Facebook and Twitter?
I think I will say something very quick and then you can add, I think the different platforms have like different strengths. TikTok is a video platform where you have all kinds of content. Instagram is also very visual. Facebook somehow became a news website with thousands of suggested posts and commercials and promoted posts. A lot of movements are using it to reach people. So I think the platform changed from being friends with people and see what friends do to be flooded by information by like a lot of companies and things that want to share something with you. But I think it's a very important news channel. People still use it to be updated about things. People use it to follow news, add comments to Highland that are not necessary. So I think it's still very important to share news, and I understand why venues and promoters still use it a lot, because it's an easy way to let people know that there's something happening.
Yeah, I think we should definitely not forget Facebook, because if you only look at numbers, I think Instagram has like 1 billion active users. Facebook has 2 billion. 2 billion, that's really a lot. And there's a whole other generation on Facebook, like our parents, even our grandparents, that's active on Facebook, but not at all on Snapchat and Instagram. So I definitely think we should keep using Facebook for that generation. And also, Facebook is a great way to promote your events, because sometimes the organisators... I forgot
organizers.
Organizers, okay, thank you. The organizers don't always have time to really promote an event online, or don't put in the effort or in the work. And Facebook events is a great way to do that. Also, community-wise, people react on events. They look for tickets. They look for people to join, to have car rides with. So I think Facebook is still very, very important. Yeah.
One last question for Mark.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a question about the for the whole panel. Actually, we are talking about social media platforms, but aren't those platforms very vulnerable? If you look at TikTok, for instance, where a couple of months ago Universal took off all of its music of a TikTok platform because they didn't agree on a new deal. Isn't that a danger for artists, for venues, for labels, that people spend a lot of time on social media, but you don't always get the conversion to your own media?
I think there's still a lot of different ways to promote stuff like music, to have people be able to follow you. I mean, we got lucky that we have things like Instagram and TikTok and Spotify to listen to music, but artists became big 50, 60 years ago as well. So I think that there's always a way to go back, and it's definitely important to not forget about it as well. So, like with a label, there's always a team working on radio promos, television, like TV promos. Also a part working on TikTok. But yeah, it's quite important to not forget about all those other parts where you can make a difference. It's the same with, if you're big on TikTok, it can be for a few weeks. And so it's super important to create something that makes your fans on TikTok also follow you on Instagram, but also come to your concerts, also listen to you on Spotify and buy your music. And so if you don't do that transfer, it's going to be messed up at some point anyway. So it's super important to not make social media too important, but at the same time, it became so easy to use that it is really important right now, especially to promote music. But I noticed that radio still helps a lot. When my song gets played on a radio in Germany, I see my streams going up in Germany, and when I see my song getting played in the Netherlands, I see my ticket sales go up in the Netherlands. So there's still different ways to find out about an artist, but it is quite important right now.
There is an interesting rapper from TikTok that has just been recently released that really shows that TikTok fuels music discovery, really pumps music discovery. And labels know this. So they know that, like, and indeed, as we were saying before, the deal has been changed, right? So they know they're gonna lose a lot of money, even besides visualizations, besides artists, and etc. So I think it's just a power force between two very big players, major labels and social media platforms, and they both know it. They both know it. So.
All right. Can we wrap up here? All right. Thank you so much, Ines, Berre, Maxime, Luca, for your insights and sharing your tips and tricks. Thank you for all coming. Yeah, I had fun. I hope you did too.